You know what? You have to put in the work. I'll be one to say, being on the TV show and gaining an audience, a platform, you kind of get, oh, I can make money by posting stuff. I can build community by posting stuff. It's not that easy. There's been so many times I've done that, posted things and had one person show up or nobody show up. There's been plenty of times of that. For building community, you really have to build the trust of your neighbors and kind of put yourself out there first, you know, without anyone following. Like, you are going to be alone.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by my main man living in New York, Dustin. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on this.
Of course, dude. We are super, well, me especially, I am super excited to have you here. We met at a great event, and since then I've been following your story, and now I am fortunate enough to be able to ask you to share your story with many other people, and they can see as amazing as you are, as amazing as I think you are, the rest of the world can also start to see it too. So, Dustin, why don't you go ahead, man, share a bit of your story, tell us a little about yourself. What are you working on? What are you excited about? And let people get to know you a little.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate those kind words. I've been watching yours too. You've been doing great things as well.
Trying to be like you, man.
We're trying to be like each other. We're trying to get that 1%. Yeah, thanks, man. So my story is kind of interesting. I grew up in a small country town in Southern Illinois, playing sports. And I think sports really gave me that, I want to say taste of blood of maybe like a little success. I was younger, always played on like the older teams. And so in a small town, I was a little famous, right? Not famous, but successful. Like, he's pretty good. And I think that was the key ingredient and my drive still today, right? So played sports, played a little bit in college, failed at that though, and ended up quitting. Huge regret. And I think that kind of stuck with me for my drive today as well. After that, lost myself. I think my identity was sports. And I had to figure out who I was after that. You know, even professional athletes go through this all the time because you play sports for so many years. And after that, who am I? What am I supposed to do? So I would say I started like hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things and all that, and almost got in trouble. And after that, I think I used to volunteer quite a bit just to kind of help with the gratitude that my life didn't go the opposite way. So I always wanted to give back. And that's a little piece of the story, because when I would volunteer, I would be like, wow, there's only middle-aged white women volunteering. What's up with that? Like, why isn't everyone volunteering? So I came up with a couple ideas, sat on those ideas. Later on, did a little real estate, hospitality, was lucky enough to go on the show The Bachelorette, where someone found me and put me on there. Through that experience, I think it's a crazy experience. And I think through that, I've kind of gained confidence to kind of be like, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Like, why not? You know, I got on this show by mistake. Who knows? You know, let's do something else and let's bring in that success. Because I always wanted to be successful. After that, I decided to start Guaranteed Karma, a volunteering platform that you can earn rewards for volunteering. So we partner with local businesses and they will give you, let's say like Barry's Bootcamp. I'm talking to Barry's Bootcamp right now. They're going to give people a free class to work out after X amount of hours volunteering. So that's what I'm working on right now. Guaranteed Karma, we're working on corporate social responsibility and fundraising, and just trying to make this world a better place and trying to change the narrative that you can have good impact and make a good stream of income as well. It goes hand, because a lot of people think if you're doing good for the world, you're not going to make a lot of money. I want to change that. I want to make a lot of money and also do a lot of good for the world. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
I love it, man. Well, obviously, you know, before we get into the business stuff, we got to ask about the Bachelorette stuff, because we can't glaze over that. This is the first and maybe the last time we'll ever have a Bachelor on the podcast. So let's soak it in. I mean, and hey, for all of you guys listening out there, and I know it's mostly guys because I check out the analytics, our audience, Dustin, is 88% men. So, I mean, we got to ask, right? We got to figure this out a little bit. What is it like, or what does it really take to become a bachelor? I know you said you got on there by accident to some degree, but There's got to be something in you that you figured out. What puts a man into that position?
I don't know, man. I think I was just at the time eligible bachelor, as they say, and it just happened by mistake. I wasn't searching for it. I wasn't trying to be on TV. Someone referred me, and I was getting these calls and texts from from the recruiting team. And at the time, I just went through a bad breakup, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. Let's do something. Let's do it. So I think I would tell everyone, take those chances if those chances do come. You don't want to say no to everything because you never know what will open up after that.
Yeah. And why do you feel it invigorated your confidence? Because you said that, right? You said after you just had this confidence of like, I'm going to do whatever. Yeah. What was it about that experience for you?
You know what? I just, I met some really inspiring guys on the show. They were doing great things. And, just seeing that. And also, I've always wanted to be successful and, do something, and seeing other people. And I think it was just a time, I was getting a little bit of a platform. And I don't know, man. I think it just was a little bit of an ego boost and confidence boost. And I was like, fuck it, let's do this. Like, why not? And I think when starting a business or a company or whatever you want to do, you got to have that confidence, you got to find it one way or another, experience or go on a TV show, I guess. I don't
know. Did anything really weird, crazy, or interesting? This is the last question, I promise. Sure. Anything really weird, crazy, or interesting come from being on that show? Did you ever get a stalker from it? Did you get like crazy
you get weird fans all the time jumping in your DMs? You had some weird girls send you nudes through your DMs like all the time at the beginning stages. It was weird. You would also get a lot of haters. It's weird because. A lot of people love you, but then a lot of people hate on you for no reason. Like, what the fuck? What's that about?
It's jealousy.
Yeah, maybe. But you never get anyone that hates on you out in public and in front of your face. It's always love. So I think that no stalkers, but just maybe stalkers. A lot of craziness. A lot of craziness.
So I'm very curious, right? You went from college, you dropped out of college, you stopped playing sports. You got into essentially the wrong crowd. You went through a breakup. You went on the TV show. You gained confidence. You started a business. I mean, this is just the complete like 360 that people are talking about. I mean, talk about like actually finding yourself and then giving back to society. I mean, there's nothing really better than that.
Shane, it would be a 180. If it was 360, he'd be right back to where he was.
180.
I hear you though. I catch you. I was right with you. Yeah.
Yeah. A complete 180. So I lost my train of thought for where it's going.
I got you derailed.
Oh man. I'm just I guess let me start over. Let me cut that real quick. Let me do the 180 here. Damn it. But thank you for stopping me. It was good. So Dustin, you did a complete 180 on yourself, from college dropout to hanging out the wrong crowd, divorce or breaking up with your girlfriend and, going on The Bachelor, starting a business and then doing good. This is what especially entrepreneurs strive for. I'm curious, did you have a corporate job from, after The Bachelor, during The Bachelor, before that? Like, how did you jump into entrepreneurship and make this complete 180 for yourself?
Yeah, I think, it's funny and not appropriate. I called myself an entrepreneur when I was getting into trouble with the wrong crowd, selling things I shouldn't have been selling. So, I kind of learned a little bit of business strategy through that. After that, I moved up to Chicago. And I'm one of the guys that used to watch those YouTube successful motivation inspiring videos like nonstop, like plug that shit.
I still watch them.
Yeah, they get you hyped up, and there's good feed. I mean, there's just golden nuggets in there, right? And one thing that stuck with me was whoever you see as successful, imitate them, right? So at the time, I was working in hospitality at Soho House in Chicago, and I would see successful people come in there all the time. And the owner of the building, investor too, one of the site investors of Soho House, Jeff Shapak, he would always be in and having his meetings, and he was a developer in Chicago, a big time developer. And I would just watch this guy, and one day I was just like, you know what? Hey, I like what you do. If you were me, how would you go about getting to where you are now? And I think he really appreciated that. And we used to work out and just talk business. And I had like a unofficial internship with him. Yeah, and I just learned a lot just seeing how he maneuvered. And he was crazy too. He was like, it was crazy in the office, and just seeing that and visualizing that. I think that's what really kickstarted it for me to really see things. And shortly after that, that's when I went on the show. Well, actually, before that, I got my real estate license. I wanted to do commercial real estate. Ended up doing residential though for a little bit, and then went on the show.
And then, so the business that you're doing now is called Good Karma?
Guaranteed Karma.
Guaranteed Karma. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about Guaranteed Karma, how you started that, why you started that? It's not a nonprofit, is it?
Technically it is. We have a nonprofit side, a 501c3. As we are transitioning and going to start working with corporate companies, we became C Corps as we start fundraising and whatnot. But we do have both. But it's a social impact company for sure.
Now,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's and that's great too. We were actually just did a podcast with the previous guy talking about how nonprofits need to start becoming profitable and seeing it from that point of view, because especially the stuff that you guys provide for society and for people, you should get compensated for it. Why should you be the one suffering with you're doing all good? So it's just good to see, and I was just curious. So tell me about a little bit more of the company. You gave that previous example of, somebody doing good and they're getting like a free class. What else is going on? Is this also nationwide?
So right now it is just in New York City. This is where I have built the community out so far. Funny enough, when I was in Chicago, that's when I started it. But my buddy, Peter Weber, Bachelor guy, talked me into moving to New York City. And this is where I kind of just started building community before technology. And I think that's really important for any entrepreneur that might be listening. They think they need the tech, they need the software, whatever it may be.
Cart before the horse.
But man, if you build community first, it's just an easy transition. You build the tech first, then you got to find the community, and it's just not really authentic. Build community first, and then build the tech, and let it take off. So that's what I did. I built community here. I just hosted some volunteering events where people could come support. We partnered with a couple companies that would give like rewards right then and there. And throughout the years, we've had over 1,000 volunteers since I've been in New York City, over 3,000 volunteering hours logged. Right now, I think we stand with 17 business rewards throughout the city. So it's just been hustling and bustling and trying to figure this out. And it's been good the whole time. I think through this, what's interesting is I just wanted to be B2C. So a consumer app, right? Consumers download the app, volunteer, get rewards. But through this process, I've been meeting with companies that are really intrigued by this and tracking impact, corporate social responsibility, tracking impact. And at first I brushed it off, but it kept on coming up, and I did research. I'm like, holy shit, this is the moneymaker right here. Mm-hmm. This is what companies want to pay for. They want to pay to have their employees volunteering, since they're forcing them to volunteer on a paid day off. And they want that data back. They want that data so they could use that for PR, internal marketing, external marketing, and just to, show the world, like, this is what we do and this is how we do it. And, retention through their employees. So It's like a stumble. Sometimes you get lucky when you do good things. I'll just say that. So that just kind of fell in my lap, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to focus on this and still work on consumers as well.
Love that. It's also relationship building too. When you get employees out there, even if, it's a paid day off, but you're getting employees out there making relationships with other people, bonding.
Absolutely.
And what would you say has been one of your most successful tips and tricks to building a community? Let's just say anybody who's listening to this was like, well, I would like to do more, but I don't have a community. How would I go about doing that?
You know what? You have to put in the work. I'll be one to say, being on the TV show and gaining an audience, a platform, you kind of get, I can make money by posting stuff. I can build community by posting stuff. It's not that easy. There's been so many times I've done that, posted things and had one person show up or nobody show up. There's been plenty of times of that. So for building community, you really have to build the trust of your neighbors and kind of put yourself out there first, without anyone following. Like sometimes you are going to be alone a lot of times. And I think when people see that, they respect that, and then they want to be a part of what you're building because they know you're for real, you know. So I would say, yeah, you got to put in the work to build community. It doesn't come any other way. You can't just get lucky. You just can't post something, you know, and you got to get out there, put up signs, relationship building, go and interact with companies, nonprofits, let them know who you are and what your goals are.
Have you tried BNI and like Chamber of Commerce? Because I know the main foundation of like Chamber of Commerce, when I started my marketing company like 6-7 years ago, that was like the foundation, right? Community, that was like the heart belt. They'll go to community events, support opening restaurants, new businesses, put it on the local newspaper, right? If I was starting out, I feel that I would want to make a social impact with chambers and BNIs that are trying to do this with other local businesses, establish a footprint, show face, and then also, you know, the social media aspect side too.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's how you do it. You know, how can I bring these other companies, these other organizations value without asking for anything at all?
Amen.
I mean, that comes from the great book of Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends, Influence People. Like, just provide value to people, and that they'll stick to you. You know, they like that, and you'll make them feel good. And not all the time, but I'm pretty sure they're going to want to help you out as you grow yours too.
Can we also, before we progress from this point, I think that you said something that's super important, and it really resonates even with me, and I'm sure the listeners probably need to hear this because it's important, that it's not easy to start building something. And I think so many times we've heard it all the time, probably in TV shows growing up, if you build it, they will come. And that's not necessarily true. Usually if you build it, no one comes. There's been many times that I've hosted webinars, that I have thrown entrepreneur groups, and I have photographic proof where I would set the time, I would send the invites, you send it to 30, 40, 50 people, whatever it is, and I'd be sitting there for 30 minutes by myself before I said, you know what, definitely nobody's coming. And I'd take a photo like this by myself, and I would just walk away and say, damn, that sucked. That was disappointing, but we got to do it again. So Dustin, not stealing the spotlight here, I want to throw it back to you. How do you navigate that disappointment of building something and falling in love with it and nobody coming? What do you do to shift?
I don't think you could become successful without that disappointment, man. I think that shit humbles the hell out of you. You know, you need that. If everything comes easy for you, that first thing that happened, that first thing that goes wrong, you're gonna crumble. You know, God, it makes you so much stronger that no one shows up, no one supports. My girlfriend's seen before. I used to do the same thing, like during more so COVID times. We would host events on, you know, webinars and whatnot, and no one would show up. You know, no one. I've had volunteer events, no one would show up. I like to say that's my character building part of my movie they'll make one day. You know, when times are low and you're like, oh, this is the good part of that movie. But yeah, man, life's hard. Entrepreneurship's even like it's a whole new level. And honestly, I get so tired of seeing people think that they're cool, they're entrepreneurs, they're doing great things, and how do I put this? There's a lot of fake entrepreneurs out there. I'll say that.
Crap.
Like fake entrepreneurs that get so much support from mommy and daddy or this and that, and they don't know the real struggle of, fuck, I don't know when my next paycheck's coming in. I have to fucking hustle. I got to make this shit happen. And I think it's very discouraging for people, even for me, when I see so-called successful people. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. They seem to be having the time of their lives when they are just starting out. And, you know, I'm like, am I doing something wrong? And it's best just to like stay in your lane, man. Like a lot of the shit you see out there is fake. It's not true. It's just bullshit. And if you want to be successful, it's going to be hard. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever do, honestly.
What? Go ahead, Shane. I feel like I'm talking a lot. Go ahead.
No. I think I just want to talk about that mindset of an entrepreneur. It's when you decide to go the corporate route and working for somebody else, it's a very safe, easy route. You have your 9 to 5. Then after that, hang with your friends, your family, your loved ones. You don't have to worry about anything else. It's easy, which is why people love it. It's easy. An entrepreneur, the successes and failures come every single day. I mean, even as vetted senior entrepreneurs with small to medium sized business and large businesses, we talk about Boeing and how he took a $45 million raise and didn't give any of his, executives raises in the last 8 years. Talk about seeing that come from public and being that type of, anyways, going on a tangent on that one. That was frustrating when I heard that.
Bring it back, baby.
But it's being an entrepreneur and a small business owners. If you're not used to being in a corner and you can't handle that level of stress, you shouldn't do it. We get this advice and talk all the time. I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about doing that. If you want to do it, then great. But just know you got to dip both feet in. And you got to be used to be putting in a corner and digging yourself out of it. There's tough times, there's great times. So I just wanted to agree with that mindset a little bit more from what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's gonna be tougher times before it's better times too, and
always,
especially in the beginning stages. It's hard, man. It's hard, but I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. It's character building for sure, and I go to this run club called Pitch and Run. And one of the guys there, he's an animal. Like, he's had 8 funded startups. He's very successful. He climbs mountains now and runs marathons and does crazy shit. And he gives me great advice all the time. Shout out to Pitch and Run, Chelsea Pier. But he was telling me, you're never gonna fail once you set that standard of working at that high standard of an entrepreneur. Let's say you do fail at your business. Someone's going to see that. You're going to be able to work at a top level that a lot of people can't do. Like, if I had a company, I would want to hire the failed entrepreneurs because they know exactly what it takes. They know exactly what it is. Like that. It's hard to multitask all these different things. I don't want just some bland Joe that works corporate and just nice and easy. You want those entrepreneurs that know what it takes to be great. Even though if they didn't get there, they'd still know though.
Man, that is such a freaking good point, because there's so much crap in society with the eat the rich bullshit. And it's so annoying as an entrepreneur to see that, because all these people are like, oh, you make a lot of money and this and that. It's like, you have no idea what it even takes to operate even slightly at that level. And so I think hiring failed entrepreneurs is one of the greatest ideas I've heard in a long time, because it really does say hey, you may not have made it, but at least you had a desire, you knew what it takes. And now being in a structure, you can really elevate that structure because you're going to perform. I have a question that comes off of this, right? When you look at building your business and you've dealt with probably unimaginable difficulties, much like all of us, what has been one of the biggest constraints where maybe you didn't know that you were overcome it? Maybe you were close to being that failed entrepreneur. What has been a massive chokehold in the process of building something?
A massive chokehold. Well, that's a really good question. Right now, we're in a position to where I'm starting to fundraise. But honestly, how I see it though, there's just not one thing that'll put you in the chokehold. If there's a way, there's always a way, right? You have to be able to be a problem solver. Even if I need X amount of dollars, if I don't get X amount of dollars, there's got to be another way for me to figure out. For me, I think I don't know if there's been a chokehold, but every day, just trying to you got to figure it out. You just can't let one problem stop you. There's many ways to figure it out. I know that doesn't really answer the question too well, but you got to be a problem solver.
I think that's a good answer, because sometimes the biggest thing that makes a company fail is not actually one significant chokehold. It's one significant lack of creativity. Because what entrepreneurs do is we think outside the box. You don't, Dustin, you and I think we're similar in age. And so I don't know if you remember when we were growing up and we'd have those math problems in school, and you could get the right answer, but the work would be incorrect, quote unquote incorrect, and they take off points even though you got the right answer. That's entrepreneurship.
That is true. You know what's funny? I was a terrible student, right? I would never have someone take this route, but I think it's helped me through my development in life. But I used to cheat all the time. I used to never do my homework. I used to cheat on tests, but that's like figuring it out, right? Okay, I'm not just gonna not do my homework. Like, I'm going to get it done somehow. Hey, Joe, let me see this real quick. Or I'm going to cheat somehow to get, through it. I would never tell my kids to do that. I'll probably never share that with them until they're, graduated through college, but I think that helped me out. I would say I was a slower learner. I didn't really have confidence in learning. My reading level was lower. So, but I fucking figured it out though. And that set me outside the box to be a problem solver. But don't do that if you're in school, guys.
I think the critical thinking and the intuition is, something in entrepreneurship that is not taught in school, right? To this day and age, and for the last 100 years or so, school's always been a foundation to teach you to be an employee, right? They don't teach you about investments, about banking, any sort of finance, how to actually live life without living it for somebody else. So I respect that fact. I have 2 kids as well, and I never cheated on. I'm just kidding. That definitely happened, but I I wanted to get back to essentially how you formatted and how you actually came up with this idea. Like, sure. What made you come up with this business model and completely transitioning away from real estate? Right? Because getting your license, I mean, commercial and residential, those are 2 separate licenses. So you went through both of those, and then you said, I don't want to do real estate anymore. I want to focus full time on this. Like, that's a big mental switch. And I know that's what our listeners, a lot of them are in those 9-to-5 jobs, or they're wanting to be entrepreneurs. They're wanting to get this. And do I need to focus extra time on top of my business to focus on this idea? Or did you just jump both feet in? There's a lot of layers to that one there, but
yeah, I would recommend for anybody. For me, I just I was in a point where COVID had happened, so everything was like on standstill, and I was just like, "Well, this is the time to do it. Let's start this out."
Take advantage. Love it.
Yeah, I would highly recommend, because it's going to be this way anyways. I would highly recommend someone keep their 9-to-5, and then once you get off work, you clock right back into your side hustle. I would do that for probably 6 months until you start bringing in revenue. This might not be what you want to do, but that's almost the time frame that you put in, from 8 a.m. to probably 10 p.m. in one day of starting your business. So if you can't do that, it ain't for you. So I would never recommend someone just quitting their job. I think putting financial insecurities on yourself is going to make things much worse. I mean, they say burn your ship, you're going to sink or swim, but if you don't have to do that, don't do it.
I think that, you bring up a good point here, because so many people think, at least in today's society, right? We're in a hustle culture.
Yeah.
That they think that if you don't burn the ship, you're not doing it right. And what was your roadmap to making a smart transition? Because I'm actually a big fan of the smart transition. I did one myself, and I advocate for it heavily. But how did you get to the space where you knew, okay, like, now's the right time. I did X, Y, and Z. I checked my boxes. Now let me take the leap and burn the boat.
You know what? My story is a little different because, I give a lot of gratitude for going on that TV show, because I built an audience and I was able to do blah, blah, blah. I was able to be a content creator, and that relieved a lot of time, so I wouldn't have to have a 9-to-5. So I was in a good cushion area for a while that I'm very fortunate. Let me do this content creating and work on this business. And honestly, it wasn't until content creating started to go away that I really started to hustle and understand, like, I need to really hustle and bustle and do this. Like, now, like, we're not profitable. I never wanted to charge anybody really for guaranteed karma right now, because it's still, I wanted to bring value. I wanted to make sure these companies that would give rewards would love it. I want to make sure that people that came and volunteered would love it. Corporate companies, I want to make sure that value is there. So now I bartend, 2 to 3 nights a week till late, on top of this. So it's a constant hustle. I think I was very fortunate, and I maybe took advantage of that content creating time and maybe slacked off quite a bit because it was comfortable, until now it's like, okay, I'm not going to fucking bartend my whole life. I got to ramp this up. So I guess that goes against what I said too, like burn the ships, but you just got to be focused. I don't know. I guess everyone has their own journey. I'm sure people have become very successful from burning the ships and doing it. I'm sure people have become successful by keeping the 9-to-5 and, going until they're making enough money through their side hustle. You got to just take that chance on what you think. You're going to learn one way or another.
You're taking the chance on yourself.
Yeah. Bet on yourself. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Vin and I are both the opposites. I literally burned all my ships and bridges and jumped right into it. But I think with that, I had financial security for a certain amount of time. Said this has to work. Otherwise, I got to figure something out. Yeah. Vin, that's what I appreciate about Vin. Vin's work ethic when he was, doing firefighting and therapy and trying to get the business going all at the same time made me want to, kill myself. That's just hearing that. It was like, oh boy. All right, Vin, let's do podcast full time.
But you know what? I think Dustin hit a really powerful point that we shouldn't glaze over. For all the listeners, it's super, super important to hear what this man just said, because he said it in a really, really, I don't even know if you realize what you said. You're good. What you were talking about was how you took this leap and you felt that you just got to a place of honesty. At least what you said here is you felt that you had a little bit of complacency to be right with the content creation. I heavily resonate with that, because a lot of the things that people don't realize, and maybe some of you listeners are guilty of this too in your own lives, is that we'll have a job, we'll want to do something, and we'll put some effort into the thing we want to do. But because we know the job is there, it could create too much comfort. There was a spot in my life when I was a firefighter and I had the coaching business where I started sitting here saying, oh, if I don't get coaching clients, it's not a big deal. I could just work more overtime if I want more money. Yeah. And that was a big part of like, oh shit, I'm going to be stuck here if I don't do something about that, because that mentality is dangerous. It's a dream killer. It's everything. It's the antithesis of everything you want to build. And so I love that you called out your complacency, because not enough people are honest like you were on that. And I appreciate you for that. And I hope the listeners appreciate that, because dude, what you just said is so powerful and so true. Like, you guys need to recognize if you're being complacent. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really hit me, because there's no better time than now. Like, I started building the tech of the platform. It's expensive. I'm not a technical person. It's really expensive. And it's so funny how life works. I'm making all this money doing content creating, but it's gradually going away, And this is the time that I need to start building the content. I mean, not content, but the tech. I'm thinking, holy shit, like this is, I wasted all this time spending this money on doing whatever. And now it's going away. And I really have to hustle on this. So yeah, happy to be. I think that's the thing too. Full transparency and just entrepreneurship. Again, I hate when I see fake entrepreneurs that just think it's easy living a life. Making all this money, traveling. Something's up. Like, it's maybe less than 1% can maybe do that. Most of the time, it's going to be very hard.
I love that, man. Thank you for bringing the honesty and the transparency. I think we need more of that, especially in this world. And we really appreciate being able to have that here on the 1% podcast, because we do want to have the information that hopefully people can access to give themselves a 1% life.
And so, I think it's funny too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
go for it.
Entrepreneurs have to make sacrifices. Like last year, I've been sober for about a year and a half.
Congrats.
Now it's a sacrifice. I just know I'm not productive when I'm drinking, and the next days I'm not getting things done. I had to sacrifice time with my friends. I don't go out as much anymore. I prefer not to. I love not going. I think it's really changed me. Now I get excited when I work. But yeah, you got to make sacrifices, even if you're in a relationship. My girlfriend's had to make sacrifices that we're not, especially in this time of building, you don't have the same cash flow as before. So also finding a partner that believes in you and knows what this is going to be after you communicate that with them. It's all important, So those are things that everyone should take into account before doing their business. If you have a bougie ass girlfriend and she's going to need this type of lifestyle, boy, you're going to be hurting.
My man is going through the entrepreneurship foundation right now. Losing your friends, stop going out at night, reconstructing your financial books, focusing inwards and not outwards.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is.
It doesn't get better.
This is what we've talked about for the last year and a half on this podcast. This is how it is. It's a lonely journey. You have to have a good partner to, help you through the rough times, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. You keep betting on yourself. You work through the fucking holes. And you got me cussing now. I love it. You got me all pumped up just by saying it, man. This is it though. This is what it's like. right?
Yeah.
Normal people that want to go into this, they're not ready for that life. They're not ready to give up their friends. They're not ready to give up drinking to go out. And first off, giving up drinking and a bartender, damn, man, talk about temptations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
tough, man.
Entrepreneur 101, man. I love that.
Well, this is the next 5 years minimum of your life, because it doesn't get better for the first few, but you get past that half decade and you're swimming, my man. So I love to be here for your journey. With that being said, man, we're getting close to the end. So I got 2 final questions for you. So one of them is this. As you know, the name of the podcast is the 1% Podcast, where the premise is you are not having to be a billionaire to be a 1%er. It's about how do you try to do something or excel at something in a 1% fashion? How do you strive to be in the top percentile of whatever it is that you want to achieve in this world? And so the question for you is, what is your version of a 1% life?
Yeah, I think what you said. Well, first of all, to get to that level of success, you got to do things that nobody else is going to want to do. It's like all the things we just talked about. So, like, people can't do it. They can't. They have they don't know how to, and they're emotionally and mentally not strong enough to go through that. That brings down, like, that's the 1% life. I think you're strong enough, you're mentally able to go through this fucking torture. That's what it is, you know? And I think to live a 1% life, you have to be a visionary. You have to see the future. You kind of know trends and people's human activity and human reactions, and you see things that nobody else sees, and you know what it takes to get to that. So I say that 1% life is just doing everything that no one else can do or will do.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Being a 1% is being a visionary. That's a good one. Everybody write that down.
Yeah.
So, Dustin, last question for you, my man. How could people get in touch with you? How could they connect with you? How could they join Guaranteed Karma? How can people start working with you? The floor is yours. Please tell everybody how they could get closer and more connected.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram, Dustin B. Kendrick. You could also follow Guaranteed Karma, as we are starting to fundraise right now. I'm really excited, meeting VCs, ready to take this nationwide, if not worldwide. But yeah, just follow us. If you want to chat with me, you can email me at dustin@guaranteedkarma.com. Be happy to chat and just, share my journey. Or if you have interest in Guaranteed Karma, maybe we should have a 1% in Guaranteed Karma Volunteer Day sometime. Get some of your listeners in, man, and do some good.
I'd like it. We got a whole bunch of listeners, and we got a whole group of alumni / mastermind people.
It's not those one time where nobody comes.
Yeah, this will be the 1% of the time no one shows up. But no, stick around afterwards, because we got a few things to tell you, to debrief on the show, and maybe we could even see if there's potential to collab. So, Dustin, thank you so much for coming on today, man. We really appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your journey with us. As always, guys, please like, follow, share, subscribe, comment, and let us know what you think. And of course, go give Dustin a shout, a follow, see if you can get involved and go volunteer, make a difference. As usual, I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
And that was Dustin. See you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.